Welcome to the Hope Sports Podcast, where we believe the best way for you to unlock your full potential is by living into your purpose. We believe discovering your purpose is the only way for you to live a meaningful life. I'm your host, Olympic gold medalist Laura Wilkinson. And each week, I have the privilege of connecting with a different elite athlete to discuss how they win big in and out of their sport. We want you to compete better and live into your purpose, so stick around to hear about an amazing opportunity that we have for you. But first, let's dive into today's episode. I'm so excited to have such an all-around talented woman on the show this week. Alev Kelter is an Alaskan native who played Division I athletics in more than one sport and went on to the Olympics in yet another. I had the pleasure of meeting Alev in Mexico on a trip with Hope Sports, and she just has this natural magnetic leadership quality about her that I just admire so much. So, needless to say, I was stoked when she said she'd be on the show. You guys are in for such a treat. Enjoy. Alev Kelter, we are so pumped to have you on the Hope Sports Podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have a very interesting background. You didn't just start a sport from, the age of 3 and do it forever and ever. You did a lot of things. Can you kind of take us through how you got involved in sports and where that led you?
Yeah, I guess I grew up in Alaska, and I have a twin sister, an older brother, and a younger brother, and all of us played sports growing up. I think I started soccer at age 4, started hockey around age 8. In between those two, played basketball. I swam, baseball, tried a little bit of tennis.
Everything.
And I think a few others. Yeah, a few others I can't quite remember. But, it was, if we were playing sports, we were out of trouble. And so my mom put us in everything, and we tried all of them and ended up focusing on hockey and soccer around age 14.
That's cool. And you kind of made a national development team in soccer too, right? And I think I read somewhere that you thought you had to quit hockey and just do one sport, but your mom thought otherwise?
Yeah. So when I was 14, I had an opportunity to try out for ODP, which is the Olympic Development Program for soccer. And actually, I was pretty blessed to be the first Alaskan to make the travel squad and the 25 from our region to go on a national tour. And so that was kind of the spring. And then the fall was hockey season. And I thought, okay, well, I'm doing pretty well with soccer. I think this is the path I'd like to take. And, a lot of people at that time were, one track minded, just saying, okay, let's put all of our eggs in one basket and just really have, everyone play one sport. And I think my mom thought, well, you played 6 different sports growing up, and, you really had a trouble just picking 2. Let's keep your options open. And, and for me, I had a dream of playing both in college. And she said, well, if you want to continue that dream, then, here's an opportunity to try out for the national select side for hockey, and encouraged me to do that. And I ended up making both national teams, youth development teams that year.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, well, God, if you have a plan for me, I guess I'll do both until those doors close, and we'll see where that goes.
That's incredible. You're just incredible. And you have a twin sister, you said, Daria, right?
I do. Yes.
Well, I heard you two were uber competitive growing up, and you guys even went to the same university. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. And she made me a better athlete just by competing with each other growing up. But not just that, has made me a better person. And I think having her by my side has been amazing. And it's a constant sleepover every night when we were growing up. So
Nice.
Who doesn't want that? No. But we decided to choose our colleges not based on each other's wants or being a package deal, but just what best suited us. And I remember my dad had an envelope that we were going to write our top 3 schools on. And, we kind of went through, from 3, 2, 1, we both opened up our number 1 option, and it was both Wisconsin. And we were like, okay, well, guess we're staying together.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, wow. Kudos, Dad. That's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And so she played D1 soccer there with you, but you also did hockey there, correct?
She also played Division I hockey as well.
Oh, she did. Oh my goodness.
We both did both sports. And it was an amazing opportunity to play for, Paula Wilkins and Mark Johnson. And they actually made a house visit up to Alaska to get us to do our verbal commitment, and to have them come to Alaska to meet the family and just be invested in both of us and also in both sports, and willing to work with the administration on how can we do 2 sports, Division I, and also get do well academically. It was just a lot of teamwork and a lot of effort from the academic side and the athletic side, and that's why we chose Wisconsin, because they let us do it all and encouraged and supported us in our academics as well.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so I love that there's like this whole kind of village aspect here. But I mean, I did one sport at a D1 school, and I mean that was a struggle just to stay on top of schoolwork with your sport. How on earth did you handle 2 and academics and having your sister there, which could be, I'm sure, very supportive, but maybe I know you guys like beat each other up growing up as well. So I'm sure there were ups and downs with that. Like, how on earth did you juggle all of it?
I think by God's grace, to be honest. No, I don't. You kind of put it in perspective, and I look at it now, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot. No, it was just one day at a time. But there's a lot of sacrifices that needed to be made. And for me, at age 14, I kind of committed myself to, all right, I'm going to do this. Like I said, it was kind of for me, it was God's will to say, all right, like, you gave me these talents, I want to give back, and I'm going to do both of these as long as possible. And it'll be very evident that if one door closes, then another door will open, and I'll listen to you in that point. And even though it was hard and it was a struggle, I thought that was what, in my, teenage years, I thought that's what I was called to do, was just to give back to both teams and to really try and push myself to the next level, not just in one sport, but in both. And, I got an art degree there, so it was a little bit more challenging than just taking your textbooks along with you. You couldn't take like your miter saw or your welder or your glass blowing equipment with you. But I had a lot of amazing teachers that opened up the studios after hours, and on a Sunday where everyone was out, Sunday fun day, and drinking and partying. It was my time to go and into the studio and create some art and work, and it kept me out of trouble, but at the same time it helped focus me on what was my dream, which was, an Olympic, a goal down the road, and seeing where, what that could lead to was just, focusing on that I'm a student first and then an athlete. My mom was my parents were very into, if you don't perform in the classroom, then you won't perform on the field, and or get a chance to perform on the field.
Exactly.
And so I respected that. And, I do think that, with that kind of harped in our childhood, we were able to, focus on what was important and just continue to, with time management, work that out.
Such great attitude and perspective. I love it. And you mentioned you were an art major, but you started in pre-med and switched to art. That's quite the 180.
Oh yeah. No, I think so. My whole family is science oriented, and my mom went to 2 years of med school, then had twins, and so I think that we really wanted to continue her, that tradition of going to med school and doing it all, kind of the jack of all trades, if you will. And I remember going to figuring out what electives I was going to take on top of my gen eds, and there was a chance to take a sculpting class in the humanities building, and I remember walking into it, and it's kind of this really uninspiring building. It's like the cement block, but when you got into the classroom, it was a set of 20 people, 14 to 20 people, and from a university that's over 3,500 whatever undergraduates in just your class alone. It's overwhelming sometimes, and sports help separate that. But then when I got into this 14 to 20 size classroom, I just felt like I wasn't just a number anymore, that it was something that I could really invest my time in and get to know these people, and then also create. And I didn't tell my parents until my senior year that I switched.
Wait, and when did you actually switch though?
Oh, my freshman year.
Nice.
But no, I think that they had that art was just a hobby in their mind, and that they have since changed, and that's a whole another story, on top of that. But they've been so supportive, and now I think for Christmas I gave my mom this ginormous painting over her piano, and so it's been a fun time, but I learned a lot, and I think my favorite medium after all those years was glass blowing.
Oh, cool. Well, you had a quote, and I love your heart, and you can see how you just, all your worlds, you say, I mean, it sounds like your whole family is kind of a jack of all trades, but you guys have this ability to bring it back all together in this one place. And I found this great quote from you where you said, sport is performance art. You can create, you can work off of space. Each game is a canvas on which you draw, create, and collaborate with teammates. So you have to spend hours perfecting the art just like you would with drawing and sculpting. I love how you can just bring all of those worlds together and in that same heart. That's just really cool to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, that's great. Where'd you get that?
From you. I've been stalking you, preparing for this interview.
So thank you. No, thank you.
Okay. So switching gears a little bit, your coach at Wisconsin you mentioned was Mark Johnson, and he was on the 1980 Miracle hockey team, right?
Yes.
So cool. And I know you said that's one of your favorite movies. It's one of mine too. It just gets you right there in the feels, right? So did knowing that your coach won an Olympic gold medal somehow make that whole Olympic dream you had seem more possible or more tangible?
I think it helped with the recruiting process. I knew that, my freshman year, it was kind of a lofty goal to be on his team that he was going to be coaching the Olympic team on. But just, being around, I think there was maybe 4 or 5 Olympians that had already come from Wisconsin, and it's probably, and forgive me for not knowing that stat, but there's probably more. But Wisconsin has always had a presence in the Olympics with ice hockey, and just their success and being number one ranked in the nation at the time that I committed. I knew that I was going to be surrounded by amazing women, and not just amazing athletes, but women who were powerful, who were strong, who could lead. And I wanted to surround myself with them. And Mark Johnson was that figurehead that was leading all of that. And his humility and his grace and ability to coach and inspire was something that I wanted to be around. And was blessed that he also, wanted to recruit me. And so it was a great time there with them. And I think that, to go back to your question, yes, I had that, okay, I want to surround myself with the best, and hopefully that would, encourage me to be my best. And that's all I really was hoping for. And to be the best in the world is to show off and to, show that at the Olympics. And that was, definitely something that I had in mind, but maybe didn't speak out loud. But I was like, okay, this is one step closer to maybe where I want to be.
Sure. Awesome. Now, your plan was to make the 2014 Sochi Games in hockey, right? And then turn around and make the 2016 Games in Rio in soccer. So I know. Can you take us, though, through what happened leading up to Sochi?
I feel like anything's possible at 18, right? You're super excited.
You're indestructible.
And you're ready to take, yep. You're taking the world on. And, someone had already said you can't be recruited athlete, right? 20% of, student athletes become, get Division I scholarships. And then I was like, okay, I could do that. And then I could do 2 sports. And then, here we are. And then, like you said, this invincibility. But I did have this dream to play in 2 Olympics. And it was, at 18, I had made training with the full national team, and I had made a camp in August, and I think it was in Canada. And what you had to make the December camp to then get picked up for residency. And then from residency, they cut maybe 3 or 4 players from that residency program. So I'd been in the mixed, had won a 2 gold medals with the under 18 World Championship team, captained that my second year, just to kind of on a roll, and all things were lined up. But I didn't make that December camp, and I was devastated. And from that moment on, I kind of realized, well, you have that hope. Okay, well, maybe you can still do it. You can still make it, or maybe they'll pick you up, or maybe they'll call you back. And it didn't happen. And at 18, I think that was crushed my world at that time. And I felt like I had let a lot of people down, including my family, and all the time and effort, and the 6 a.m., the 4:30 get ups, driving me to practice. All of that was kind of for nothing. And again, at 18, you feel like that was, world changing. But there was a lot of really cool moments that happened after that. That kind of helped, where I'm at now.
Well, so how did you deal with that initial disappointment? That's it, like you said, it's devastating. I was 18, my senior year in high school, and I missed making our Olympic trials. I should have made it. I was winning this prelim meet, and then I freaked out because I was winning the prelim meet, and I didn't even make it into the trials because I did terrible in the finals.
Yeah.
And it's crushing. Like, so how did you deal with that disappointment? It's a loss of a dream, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of it goes away in a split second. And for me, I think I didn't turn to drugs or alcohol, but I would say depression was huge at that time. And I remember it was my art teachers that kind of said, hey, you're not acting like Alev. You're not, something's up. What can we do to help you? And for me, I just said, I think I need to go home. I need the mountains. I need to rejuvenate with family and really kind of figure out my next step. And I went home to Alaska. I went to Alaskan by myself, it's the mountain. It's our big mountain, an hour south of where I live, and where I would go with my twin sister. And so to be alone on that top of that mountain with fresh powder, it was, it would be anybody's dream to have fresh powder and be alone on a mountain and just kind of put your headphones in. But to me, it was a bit scary to not have her by my side. And I said, okay, well, I'm not on contract anymore. I guess I'm going to snowboard this mountain with abandon. And, if I'm going to hit every jump I see, and if I break a bone, I break a bone. Okay, cool. Right. Because you know how it is. You sign your life away saying you're not going to do silly things, and you're not going to go skydiving. You're not going to ride a motorcycle.
So you were done with college at this point, or was this in the middle of college?
Well, this is my end of my senior year. And I took 5 years at college. Okay. So this is my end of my fourth year. I had just finished up kind of the hockey season and was going to play spring season soccer. And so I think for me, it was like, okay, I guess I might be hanging up the skates, or, there's a professional league overseas because, the women's hockey league hadn't started yet. And, maybe I was going to go play pro soccer because that was kind of, up and coming. And so all these things were going through my head, but, it was a really sad time. And I remember laying in the snow. I had tried this backflip and landed face first in the snow, and I didn't really want to get up. And I remember kind of a vivid, we could say it was an epiphany or whatever, but it was a vivid moment that it was a flashback to my sister, my twin. And she would always introduce herself as, the older twin, right? She came out a minute before me.
Those are bragging rights right there.
Right. Yes. And she will never let me forget that.
Of course not.
And so, but it reminded me that every time she'd say, hey, who do you think is older? Who do you think is older? They'd say, oh, Alev, she's bigger, a little bit bigger, and maybe a little faster, whatever. And she'll say, no, I'm older. And she will always have that. And I was like, okay, Derry, you can have that. But I'm no less of a human because I came out second, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what, Alev, you're not going to let this no define you. And you're no less of a human because this happened. And despite all of your thoughts at 18 and who you thought you didn't, impress, or you didn't make it for, and your inspirations, all of that is not going to define you. And I got back up, and it was a pretty, for me, a beautiful moment to get back up because I didn't really want to. And I snowboarded back down to the lodge, and I warmed up there for a while. That to me was a huge moment. And it started with, okay, I'm going to snowboard this mountain with abandon. And then I'm going to think about my family and think about where I want to go. And yeah.
You got me in tears over here. That's powerful. That's so powerful. At Hope Sports, we know that you want to be the best athlete that you can be. And in order to do that, you train hard and dedicate yourself to performing at your peak. But sometimes it can feel monotonous. Every day has a similar routine, and when you win, well, no victory feels as good as a loss feels bad. It doesn't have to be this way. We believe athletes can compete at their full potential and reach their dreams while feeling lasting satisfaction from their accomplishments. We understand what it's like when you've dedicated your life to something, but you feel like you're never living up to people's expectations and you don't feel satisfied with your achievements. Hundreds of athletes have told us that they've discovered how to compete at their best while finding lasting fulfillment in their achievements during our interactive international service trips. Our next trip is coming up June 7th through 10th in Rosarito, Mexico, and we want you to be there. It's so easy to get involved. Just go to hopesports.org, sign up for the June 7th through 10th home build, and build hope for a family and win like never before. So sign up today. It could be the key you need to find success in your career. And so when you came back and kind of warmed up, you had a voicemail, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And this is where kind of things got, it was, for me, it's providential, but, at 18, I was like, okay, is this my sister playing a prank on me? I don't know what's up, but it was a missed call from this gentleman, and he said, hey, this is Rick Suggett from USA Rugby. I heard that you're pretty decent at, athletics, and was seeing if you would like to give rugby a try. Give me a call back if you're interested. And I thought, okay, well, my sister just had one of her guy friends call me up and just trying to lighten the mood and said, hey, there's other opportunities out there, chin up, And I called my mom and I said, hey, I got this message, I don't know what to do. And she goes, well, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst they can say to you? No, you just heard that, and I was like, you're right. Like, I've just kind of, the worst they can say is no. And I'm going to be okay with that. That's not going to define me. And so I gave Rick a call back, and, he said, oh, we have a camp in January in 2 weeks, and we'd love to see you there and just run around for 5 days with a rugby ball in your hand and see if you like it. There's like no strings attached. And, and I said, okay, well, I've never touched a rugby ball here. He goes, oh, we got plenty here. Don't worry.
That's awesome.
And that was our conversation. And I think, he'd said he was from Canada, and he had played hockey growing up, and then tried playing football, and then found rugby, and, has a pretty prestigious coaching history with coaching rugby. And now he's coaching the Olympic team and looking for good athletes that could, transition to the sport. And for me, I thought freezing in that lodge, California, sunny San Diego, sounded awesome. I hung up the phone, and I got so nervous because I was like, I don't know what I just committed myself to. But again, I started looking up, rugby on YouTube, and I had, he had gotten my number from a flag football high school teammate of mine, Lori Clifford, and she had given him my number, and I'm forever grateful for her. But she gave him my number, and that's how it started.
That's so cool. Okay. Now I started diving what was considered really late at like 15. You're starting a new sport at what, 22, 23? I mean, and you said you'd never held a rugby ball at all before. I mean, what was that like?
Well, it was amazing because, I was nervous about how I would be received by the girls training there at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista. And it was quite the antithesis of what I expected. They welcomed me with the biggest open arms you could imagine. And, it wasn't the coaching staff, it was the women, and they taught me how to pass. Jillian Potter taught me how to tackle. She said, okay, honey, cheek to cheek. You want your cheek to my cheek. That is the softest part of my body. If you hit my bone here, you're going to knock yourself out, I remember Christy Ringingbird teaching me how to pass and do a spin pass, and, Vic Falayan, just helping me with, vision and seeing, running around the field. But there was so many amazing women that I met, and that I kind of got to know, and that taught me rugby. And, within couple of years, I was kind of in the mix with them.
Oh, well, it's so cool. So that was 2014 when you first picked up that rugby ball, right?
Yes.
Well, my husband and I, we got to meet you in like 2015 on one of the home builds for Hope Sports. And for those of you who don't know what Hope Sports is, it's an amazing organization that is bringing you this podcast, and it brings athletes together that kind of unites them to build a home together for the poor in Mexico and other countries. And it's an incredible experience. And we met you and some of your teammates there, and I thought you had been playing for a really long time because the way you were like the leader of that group of athletes that were there, those rugby girls that were there. They all looked up to you. They listened for your commands almost. I mean, they just talked about how amazing you were and all these things. Like, it just seemed like you had been their leader for a really long time. And now I'm like, that was only a year. You'd only been doing that for a year at that point. That's really, I think that says a lot about you and your character. And I think it says a lot about the team that you were a part of. And like you said, they all just welcomed
Absolutely.
You and brought you in. Like, just what an amazing group to be a part of.
If you think about it, right, they are giving their every information that they've learned from years past, and sharing that with somebody who might take their spot, right? There's only 12 girls that go to the Olympics, and that to show that their selflessness in that moment, it only produces gratitude. And when you have a sense of gratitude and you have a sense of vulnerability and it's united towards a common goal, that team is inseparable. And I think that each day you can start to, appreciate each other and create inherent respect and grow together. Like this Hope Sports build was amazing for us. And then go and do that on the field for each other. And rugby, it's a bit different. You really are putting your body on the line. You really are sweating and sometimes shedding blood for each other, and that's what it's meant to be, and that's true teamwork. And so I get inspired by them, and it helps, creates me to get more passionate and me to get more, fired up about life. And so, it's just a nice circle.
I think that is just the definition of what a team should be. That is so cool. So tell me about how you found out that you made the Olympic team in 2016, because weren't you like in the middle of a speaking gig or something?
I was speaking at an Opus Dei event in California, or up in LA, and my aunt and a few friends, I was giving a talk to high schoolers, and I said, at 8:00, this list is supposed to come out in my email. And of course I was set to speak at 7:30. And I told the girls at the beginning, I said, okay, I'm going to give you this speech, but at 8:00, if you don't mind, to be a part of this. I'd like for you guys to be a part of this. And they said, okay, let's do it. And at 8:00, I refreshed my email box and I saw an email from Richie Walker, and who was our coach at the time. And it said, the first line, it said, congratulations. And I just remember looking at my aunt, looking at my friend Mary Collette, and I just remember just sobbing in front of all these high schoolers. I mean, there probably wasn't a lot, like maybe 20, 25. And maybe I'm hyperbolizing, but felt like a lot of people in front of me. And they just, we kind of had this big embrace. And for me, it was this weight lifted off my shoulders. And I immediately called my mom and told her, cried on the phone. And then finished my speech. But it was really a special moment for those girls to be a part of that. And I don't think. I
think that's pretty epic that you allowed these girls to be a part of that, because you didn't know that could have been like devastating news again. You know what I mean? And you were willing to share that with them. I think that says a lot about your character. But moving on, what was it finally like to compete in the Olympic Games? You finally got your shot. What was Rio like?
It's amazing. And I think a lot of people try to put it into words, and I find it a bit cliche to also say, oh, there are no words to describe it, but there truly aren't.
But try anyway, will you?
I will. It's like, okay, I don't know. It was amazing to be the first ever, right? Mm-hmm. So rugby hadn't been in the Olympics since 1924, which our U.S. men are the reigning gold medalists, if no one knew that. But then it was, a lot of people rioted after that because it was in Paris, and they beat France, and they took rugby out of the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
And so it was, since 1924, it was, a trial sport, and then it became an Olympic sport. And, I have to, just give credit to everyone who fought for that to be in the Olympics, to have this opportunity, and then to be a part of the 12 that are now going to take foot and be the first ever women's rugby Olympic team. That's just amazing. It gives me chills just thinking about it now. But everything we did from that moment on, all the things we did that week, what was historic. Mm-hmm. And I think you think about it, you're like, okay, cool. Like, it would have been amazing to be on that hockey Olympic team. It would have been amazing to be on that Olympic soccer team, and what they've done and how they've inspired girls. But to be the first and to start it from a grassroots program to inspire, to show America and the world what rugby is, was just, it was amazing. It was unbelievable. And then to have your family in the stands wearing USA jerseys with your name on the back, it just is touching in every way possible. But no, I just get fired up talking about it.
That's so cool. And how you guys did really well there too, didn't you?
We got 5th place, but we were the only team to tie the gold medal Australians. And we lost by 5 points, which isn't a lot. It's one try to New Zealand in our quarterfinal game.
Oh, wow. That is really
and
cool.
New Zealand and Australia were in the for top 2.
So awesome. So let's fast forward just a little bit. I know in the 2017-2018 season, you kind of sustained a neck injury in a game in Paris, and you had to kind of support the team from the bench a lot. And even at the Rugby World Cup Sevens this past summer, how was that? I mean, you've been like the leader of the team. You've been this go-getter. How was it to not just sit on the bench, but for an extended period of time? Like, what was that like?
I feel like there's, a lot of ups and downs in rugby, and every day you walk on that field, that this might, it's a contact sport. Every day it's a new day, and to be thankful for that, you get to put those boots on and put that jersey on, and not just any jersey, but the U.S. jersey. It's something to be extremely thankful for. And to have that opportunity to go on the World Series stops, and from that moment on, since 2014 up until the present and World Cup, I hadn't missed a tour, and that kind of just puts in perspective of one, it's amazing what other sports can do to help rugby, but two, how supportive a team could be to keep you consistent, and that not just the players that go on tour, but the players back home, and how everyone can encourage and inspire someone that's 26, 27 to continuously make a tour, and to keep it fun, and to not burn out, and to want to play for each other. That's huge. So it's not just Alev Kelter just not making every tour. It's a combination of the chemistry of this team, keeping it fun and exciting and encouraging. So long story short, it was pretty hard to not be there with the team that you love and you want to fight for and you want to win with, and not be there on home soil in San Francisco. And I did think, though, I've been blessed to play every tour up until this moment, and this is where I'm called to be, is by the sideline, and I'm going to pray my heart out for them, and they're ready. They know exactly what they need to do, and they've got great leaders like Nicole Haverland and Richie Walker, and they got up and coming stars like Alona Mayer, and she's going to fill those shoes, and she's going to do it gracefully, and it was every bit of confidence I had in my body was just try to pour it out to them. And there's a beautiful picture of, the girls are going by the tunnel and I'm reaching over the side, and Richie just reached up and just grabbed my hand. And it was a beautiful moment because I was like, I'm still here. And yeah, I had to push a little, get myself to the front right there. But I really wanted to just connect into that connection, that physical connection with Richie, and just connect the eyes with the girls as they're walking by. Like, I'm here, I'm with you. But it's not just me. It's what the symbol of everyone, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of people that didn't make it to that spot. There's a lot of people who would have killed to be in that position, and to now feel that and to see that, it just brings an utmost respect to those who almost made it, or those who got injured before they made it, and those who have never made a national team but have been tried their entire life. It creates a sense of, again, of gratitude for everything that you do, and for that to be on home soil, and it's a sold out crowd at AT&T Park. I was just so excited to watch them play.
That's so cool. What an amazing perspective. And I love that you just see not just the gratitude, but that there was purpose behind that. You know what I mean? That's really, really cool. Are you healthy now?
Yes. Yeah. And it took a while to get back. I think it was a couple, maybe 4 months or so of just rehab and getting stronger. But yeah, no, thank God. I'm back to 100% and ready to roll.
Awesome. So are your eyes firmly set on Tokyo 2020?
God willing, barring any injury, I would love to be there. And again, if it's meant to be, I think it'll happen. But there's a lot of, again, each day in the contact sport, you just gotta be thankful for, another opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's between now and Tokyo? Like where is your focus? Because that's obviously still, a year and a half out.
Yep. We have 6 World Series stops. And if any of World Rugby's listening, I would love for the women to have more stops. But no, but we have a stop in Dubai, we have a home stop in Denver, Dubai, Sydney. I think it's Kita-Kishu, Japan, BC, British Columbia, and then we have a stop in Biarritz, France.
Wow! So you guys go to some pretty epic places.
Yes, all around the world, and
makes me want to do rugby.
Cool. Call that my job.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's my job. I love it, and I think I joke about it. But the worst thing I have to do is put sunscreen on in the morning.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, you wear some pretty rockin' braids in your hair too, so you need to give me a hair tutorial on how to do that because I'm terrible, and I know my girls would love that. But go ahead. Sorry.
We have a Tongan on our team, and Nana is our hair braider. It's not me. But she braids my hair, and they are the tightest. I swear, it's a natural Botox on my forehead. I am crying before the game.
Then I definitely need to see her.
Get past her braiding, if I can get past her braiding before the game, I can get past any tackle. So that's just a pump up for you.
That's awesome. I love it.
Better be ready, though.
I love it. Well, where can we follow you online to continue to be inspired and encouraged by you, but also to cheer you on this season and toward Tokyo?
I have a website, alevkelter.com. You can ask any questions. You can donate there. You can, see there's a photo journal entries I do. And then there's you can add yourself to the email list there. But I have an Instagram at Alev Kelter and a Twitter at KelterAlev. But just go ahead and give me a follow and contact me if you have any questions.
Awesome. Alev, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, for just inspiring us, for showing us this amazing attitude of gratitude that you have and how that's gotten you through everything. We just appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. Wasn't that a powerful episode? I can't imagine getting to such a high competitive level and then watching it all come crumbling down right in front of me. I admire Alev's attitude and spirit so much. To know that she needed to face not only the situation, but her own heart and identity through that. I hope that you're encouraged to keep forging ahead and trying new things after you experience disappointments too. You never know what doors might open and where you'll end up. If you want support in ways that you can grow as a competitor and overcome obstacles like Alev did, head on over to lauralwilkinson.com/performance to grab my free guide, 5 things that you can do today to become a more confident competitor. Again, that's lauralwilkinson.com/performance. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a single amazing episode. Next week, we have legendary distance runner Ryan Hall on the show. Ryan set multiple records and raced in 2 Olympics, but has dealt with his fair share of injuries, disappointments, and slumps. He also talks about how he's giving back through his foundation and how adoption grew his family. On behalf of Hope Sports, I'm Laura Wilkinson. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great week. This podcast is produced by Evo Terra and Simpler Media. For more information on Hope Sports and to access the complete archives, please visit hopesports.org.